Sa pagpatak ng ulan, sa pagsubok na dumaraan, may tapang kang harap, lilipad kang may pangarap. Lilipad kang may pangarap.
Kailan may di mag-iisa, susulong ka ng may kasama, may tapang kang harap,
Lilipad kang may pangarap. Lilipad kang may pangarap. Simula na ng bukas, ngayon na, ngayon na. Simula na ng bukas, ngayon na, ngayon na. Simula na ng bukas, ngayon na, ngayon na, ngayon na.
sumabay sa pagbabago,
Harapin ang bagong mundo. Simula na ng bukas, simula na ng bukas ngayon.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this yet another interesting session of Business World Insights with the topic Maintaining Healthy Online Workplace Culture in the Now Normal. My name is Jocelyn Luna Manuel, Business World Special Features Editor, and I will be your host and moderator for today. Please take note that we will also be answering some questions from the audience later, and you may send your questions in the comment section of this live stream. So as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to transform the world of work, there is indeed a surge of remote work set up worldwide. Companies who are able to allow employees to work remotely should guarantee a healthy online workplace culture. Despite the physical distance and other challenges, In this session, we will find out how companies can cultivate a positive working culture that is essential for employees to remain engaged, collaborative, productive, innovative, and of course, happy. And this will eventually drive the business forward even amid a global crisis. So today we are honored to have four experts from leading companies who will share their valuable insights. So let me introduce our first speaker. She is the head of health and benefits of Phyllis Towers Watson Philippines. She joined the firm in October 2013 and started the health and benefits practice for Legacy Towers Watson, bringing with her close to 3 decades of experience in employee benefits, broking, and consulting. Prior to joining Legacy Towers Watson, she served as a partner, senior consultant, and director of one of the largest broking firms where she accounted for over 80% of its business. Please welcome Miss Susan J. La Chica. Hi, Miss Susan.
Hi, good morning, Joe.
Good
Nice to
morning.
see you here.
Nice to see you, ma'am. So you can now present, ma'am, your slide.
Okay, so thank you for that. Will you be flashing it for me? At any rate,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, Let me just start. So thank you, Joe. So good morning to my co-panelists, Oscar, Mireille, and Sheila. I'm glad to be in such esteemed company this morning. So to start off, so please allow me to share the highlights of our latest survey regarding organizational well-being amidst the pandemic. This survey actually ran sometime November 2020, and 122 companies participated in the Philippines. First, within the area of strategy, we saw that firms are looking at themselves to be differentiators. That is to say that they want to differentiate their well-being program from other organizations with which they compete for talent and to customize to meet employee needs. Just 5 years ago, only 7% believed that they were differentiators. Now 18% believe that they are so, and 85% said that they aspire to be so in 3 years. Second, we also saw increasing support from leadership within the well-being space from 55% 5 years ago. Now, 91% of firms say that their leadership team is genuinely interested in the health and well-being of employees and their families, and not just paying lip service or ticking the box on well-being. This being said, we need to be mindful of the finding that there is a 20% perception gap between the employer and employee points of view, wherein only 71% of employees versus 91% for employers said that senior leadership is genuinely interested in their health. Okay, now the third highlight revolves around the major well-being challenges within organizations. Not surprisingly, mental health issues, stress, anxiety have become a growing problem amidst this pandemic. This may come from the lack of distinction between work and personal time and space for employees working from home, and safety concerns from those reporting to their workplaces. In addition, employees worry about their financial health and job security. They also worry about access to healthcare as they fear going to the clinics and hospitals and risk possible exposure to the virus. Within the space of mental health, 65% of employers say that their employees are battling with anxiety or depression. This could come from work burnout or from physical isolation from family, friends, and a support network. The fourth finding evolves around the measurement of success of well-being programs. Companies are expanding the use of data and analytics to measure their success, but the measurement efforts remain low. Fragmented delivery of well-being programs continues to be is a challenge with firms who have a large array of programs. 69% of those surveyed worry about rising costs of well-being programs, with 50% saying they struggle with lack of data to measure success. No, so lastly, we see employers expanding their offerings to address the physical, emotional, financial, and social well being of employees with a focus on employee experience that is engaging and that connects to diverse employee needs. We have employees who report to the workplace, those who work from home. Plus, we have varying demographics as well. So, in order to enhance employee experience and well being, organizations have started from the ground up. The initial area of focus was employee safety, with a large number of firms offering virtual solutions for those reporting to the office or plant. In addition, some employers have looked into family support by allowing flexible working arrangements to enable employees to manage other commitments like attending to kids' online classes or caring for sick family members. There has been additional attention as well to ergonomics for those at work, workstations, and for those at home, subsidies for ergonomics. And lastly, employers have enhanced the well being environment through communication campaigns and virtual well being solutions. So I just wanted to start with that. Thank you for your time. And let me turn the floor back to you, Joe.
Of the survey that you had in your company. So let me introduce our next speaker. So he is the People Vice President and Chief People Officer of Coca-Cola Beverages Philippines Inc. or CCBPI. He has worked for the Coca-Cola system since 1999 and has held several leadership roles for Coca-Cola FEMSA in his native country, Mexico, for more than 10 years. He ventured into most HR disciplines such as talent management, organizational design, total reward, labor relations, and business partnering. In early 2013, he moved to the Philippines and participated in the transition of Coca-Cola FEMSA Philippines. As FEMSA left the Philippines, he continued his work as Labor and Employee Relations Director for CCBPI, managing a challenging labor landscape with over 50 unions. So please welcome Mr. Oscar Medina. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you very much. Good morning to my co-panelists as well and to everyone connected in the call. I am very happy to be here and to be able to share some of initiatives that Coca-Cola Beverages Philippines or CCBPI has put in place under this now normal. So just to start, Coca-Cola in the Philippines has been for 108 years, and it was one of the first countries outside of the United States where Coca-Cola started operations. So we have a long story in the Philippines, and we're very proud about it. Um, the company has over 10,000 employees, but over 70,000 Filipinos depend on CCBPI across the value chain. And you have a lot of sari-sari stores, you have a lot of partners and small business owners depending heavily on CCBPI. So it is a nice story with a huge impact in the country as well. And we do believe in CCBPI that having a people first commitment is what will give us or get us to a different stage, what has brought us so many achievements in the past, and what has allowed us to work closely with every single one of our associates, identifying them as individuals and identifying their own personal needs, requirements as we move forward. So, with this pandemic, I don't think that anyone was prepared to what we experienced back in 2020. But we started this people first mindset a long time before the pandemic, but it really came to life. And we decided in the beginning of COVID to protect and support. Protect and support not only our people, but also our customers and our communities. So, for our people, we immediately made sure that everyone that got COVID would get medical support and assistance and attention. So that's something that we got since day one. We also continued engaging virtually and ensuring that even if we have distance in place, we are connecting with our associates and working together. Of course, we also supported our customers and we provided them with the tools and support they required to restart and rebuild their businesses. Many of them were affected in the early stages of the lockdown, so CCBPI supported them in getting back on track. And for our communities, CCBPI has also been present with a lot of support in terms of water delivered stations and really working together with the LGUs as well in order to ensure that water is being distributed and that this first aid support is getting to the communities that require it the most. Now, on a very interesting development in 2020, and Joe was mentioning that in CCBPI, we have over 50 unions. So labor relations and negotiating collective bargaining agreements is sometimes our bread and butter in HR. So with the pandemic, we stopped these negotiations because we had to observe all the LGU regulations and we could not meet face to face. But we did find a way to connect with our unions to keep all these safety measures in place. And we have since closed over 10 CBA negotiations in a virtual way. So the HR team, the support team is connected virtually, but we do have people on site talking to the unions with all the precautions, with all the restrictions that we need to follow, but ensuring that we have this safe space. Okay, we are limiting these sessions to 3 hours only, and we're having breaks to ensure that everyone is being taken care of. We are sanitizing, we're following all the protocols set up by the DTI and the Department of Labor. On communications and engagement, and this is where it starts making sense to the topic that we're discussing today. How do we keep well-balanced and productive environment for all our associates? We have held connections since this started. We have both virtual town halls and on-site town halls. If we do it on-site, we ensure that we're taking all the social distancing measures in place, the mask, the use of mask and face shields. But if we do it virtually, we are engaging with all our associates and inviting them to keep their cameras on, to really connect, to see each other continuously. Also, our CEO started an email early in the pandemic times in 2020, where he communicated the state of the business and everything that was relevant to each and every one of our associates. He has kept that daily email ever since. So we expect it every single day just to see where CCBPI is, what is relevant for every associate, and how we are supporting and protecting our employees, our customers, and our communities. Likewise, we have continued all our total well-being initiatives, diversity and inclusion, webinars, everything virtually, and ensuring that we keep our people connected even with the restrictions that we are facing nowadays. And in terms of support, we have donated hand washing stations, we have donated water, and we're working also on what we call the Balik Pinas project to bring overseas Filipino workers back home to the Philippines and provide them with jobs as partners for CCBPI. So that's it for me. Thank you very much, Joe, as opening remarks, and over back to you.
That people first commitment is very admirable. So let's move forward to our third speaker. So she is the country vice president of TELUS International Philippines, one of the country's leading customer experience and digital solutions providers. She is a strong supporter of the organization's hashtag Give Where We Live corporate social responsibility endeavors and takes an active role in the company's fund granting foundation called TELUS International Philippines Community Board. A strong advocate for women in leadership positions, she is also the executive sponsor of their in-house resource group for women, known as Connections Women's Network. So celebrating her 20th anniversary with TELUS International Philippines this year, please welcome Ms. Mireille Magalona. Hi, Ms. Mireille. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. I wanted to start with this quote from Jeff Melnick, who is a brand strategist and an executive coach for CEOs around the world. He said that the culture inside our companies provides a foundation for our well-being. It is the job of those at the top to create a workplace where people feel accepted, are able to be vulnerable, and open to discuss what is going on in their lives, not leave their problems at the shop door. Your well-being strategy demonstrates that you see the lives of your employees as being essential to the success of your businesses. So company culture, according to him, is the foundation for your team members' well-being. I particularly liked how he illustrated work-life integration, how having a great company culture would empower your team members to open up in discussing what's going on in their lives instead of leaving to open up before walking through the door of their offices. I think this quote is a great way to open a discussion about work in the new normal, or the now normal, as you call it, a time when we don't have any clear distinction between work and personal lives. Now, with that in mind, how do we start tackling safety and well-being concerns in this current pandemic world? And how do we make health and safety an intrinsic part of your company culture? For TELUS International Philippines, we always start at the source, our team members. If there is one thing I can impart with you this morning, it would be to find old and new ways of actively listening to the needs of your team members to help better understand how you can support them. Whether it's through regular focus group discussions, surveys, coaching sessions, or even reviewing the comments and posts that they share in your internal social media or communications channels. It is vital to get insight straight from them. Beyond physical wellness, the need for mental and emotional well-being programs are also more necessary than ever. At TELUS International Philippines, we've undertaken some initiatives to support our team members' mental and emotional health. They include creating a TELUS International Philippines Care Hotline, which is a toll-free number manned by nurses and doctors who can provide team members with not just answers to their questions and concerns related to COVID-19, but who are also trained to provide mental health support for our team and their family members. Aside from having mental wellness as part of your HMO benefits and possibly having teleconsultation options, we found that it was also important to offer all of our leaders in the organization with basic training on mental health, first aid, and empathic listening. An important but oftentimes overlooked wellness factor is also the financial health and security of your team members. The COVID-19 pandemic has definitely left a harsh impact on the facet of life for many people all over the world. Some of the initiatives that we facilitated in TELUS International Philippines are providing the basics of assisting in government mandated financial support such as SSS and Pag-ibig, making financial literacy programs not only available but also appealing. Our finance leaders are very active in providing workshops like personal financial management and Stocks 101. At the start of the pandemic, we also launched a special interest group called the Warriors of Wealth that regularly meets and gives their members tips and training in building their personal financial portfolios. We've also tapped our TELUS International University partner schools and our special interest groups in providing livelihood or side hustle workshops such as soap making and baking, where team members can start earning a little extra income by using the new skills they've just acquired. And having internal programs like TIP Safe, which combines savings, investments, retirement, and company matching features, can also greatly benefit team members' financial wellness, not only now, but for many years to come. Now, social belonging and connectedness are basic human needs that people who work in isolation tend to struggle with the most. For us, we take advantage of various programs and groups within our organization to keep that sense of belonging and connectedness alive. Our special interest groups give team members a chance to connect with like-minded individuals, and they have been very active when it comes to organizing virtual activities for our team members. Our diversity and inclusion resource groups give our team members opportunities to connect and learn from each other. Whether it's Spectrum, our LGBTQIA+ community, Connections Women's Network for our female team members, and Mosaic, which is our resource group for expats and foreign team members. And finally, we also transitioned our corporate social responsibility initiatives to virtual ones so team members not only feel a sense of belonging within the organization, but within the communities where they live, work, and raise our families in. Now, this May, for instance, we have over 2,300 team members who have signed up for our TELUS Days of Giving virtual fun run for the benefit of kids from World Vision. And finally, ensuring that there is a proactive and intentional leadership focus on health and safety is vital. Over the past 14 months, we have been continuously giving all people leaders within our organization various trainings on remote leadership. Leadership presence must come across through a video or voice call and must be intentional in terms of building relationships and establishing trust. Aside from the technical knowledge on digital transformation and virtual tools, we focus in particular on these power skills that people leaders with remote teams cannot do without. That's critical thinking, leading impactful conversations, empathy, and coaching. These skills are critical in enabling them to become better listeners and decision makers and become leaders who inspire, motivate, and establish trust. Now, I'd like to end with this quote from Simon Sinek, where he said, "Leadership is not a rank or a position. It is a choice to look after the person to the left of us and the person to the right of us. Given this now normal and the variability of tomorrow, there is a need for us to be focused on the future, creating and enacting leading actions that are sustainable to provide and maintain a healthy online workplace culture." Thank you very much, and back to you, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Miss Maria, for that presentation. I like what you said about the concept of work-life integration, no, aside from the usual work-life balance. So let's discuss that further later. So completing our panelists for today is the People and Human Resources Business Lead of Mondelez Philippines. She has been part of the company's country leadership team since 2016. Prior to this, she has assumed three other roles with Mondelez as HR lead for Integrated Supply Chain Philippines, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, HR manager for Integrated Supply Chain and Research Development for Philippines, and HR manager for Operations. She also led Asia Pacific and other local projects involving organizational development, business partnering, employee engagement, and talent development. Please welcome Ms. Sheila Pangilinan. Hi, Ms. Sheila. Good morning.
Hi, Joe. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting us over. Excited to have a really privilege and honor to have the same platform with Susan Oscar today, and definitely with you, Joe.
Would you like to give your opening statement, ma'am?
Alright, so good morning, everyone, and on behalf of Mondelez Philippines, we would like to thank you all for creating, little moments to us. So for Mondelez, we believe in creating a winning growth culture. And similarly, we also believe in investing diverse talents. Our core values are providing commitment and developing world-class talent locally. So where we are now, I want to share with you who we are as a company. So we've been here in the Philippines the last 8 years. And just like you and me, exciting success, which is basically coming from the rich plans that we grown up with. So the purpose of the company is certainly to empower people to snack right, the right snack for the. So we've been here in the Philippines in the past 58 years in the city, Metro Manila. So our anniversary is 31. So we started all the way to 31, 1963. And we have a co-located office for our corporate office in Plan. in the same location to do our local jewel. I'm sure you enjoy our Eden cheese, our cheese whiz, our Eden mayo, our Eden sandwich, and magic work. And we have, talented and committed workforce for 79 of them who make up our enjoyable and committed team in the Philippines. So very exciting, as you may see, we have a diverse work, mixed generation. We have Gen Z, we have Millennial, we have Gen Y, we have Gen X, we have Baby Boomers, and we offer, many growth culture and a lot of learning and development opportunities for all their stages. So we offer direct and we also offer the one tea powdered beverage which is Tang. And in block cheese and cheese spread, we have Eden and cheese whiz. And in modern trade, we have also our chocolates. You can feel that in the evening, grocery supermarket. We also have our Cadbury, dairy milk, and we also have our biscuits like Oreo. And we're also fast growing food manufacturer in the Philippines. Um, so we offer really, the right snacks at the right moment. So we work with several distributors in the Philippines to reach 178,000 stores per store. But given the thing that we have, can you hear me well? I would like to share with you definitely how do we bring back to life our workplace and well-being. So this topic is very exciting, hearing the insights coming from Susan, that it's very important that we provide opportunities for taking care of for people to reach their second home destination. And one this will always be a place and the second one wherein you have the diversity and inclusivity. And we also have flexible pledge. And we also have the movement, which is what we call the right to, where we have weekless Fridays. And we have, a lot of things concerning employee engagement, ensure that we get to have an interdependent and integral support for employees.
Okay, sorry about that. Miss Sheila was having an internet problem at home. So probably let's proceed first to the panel discussion. Um, can we invite our panelists to join us on screen again? All right. Hi again, everyone. So, okay, to start off, let me direct this first question to all our panelists. So, the question is, what are the benefits of creating a healthy workplace culture for both the company and the workforce, especially now that we are in a crisis? So, anyone can answer the question.
Maybe I can go ahead and start.
Sure, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, while the pandemic has brought about disconnectedness towards the way we do work as usual, we realize that a key but often overlooked factor as well in cultivating a caring culture is having that sense of connection and spirited teamwork while working from home. Now, creating a healthy workplace by addressing team members' needs on topics such as well being and stress management and the basics of working remotely help team members feel that they are not going through this alone and that the company sincerely cares for their well being. When one successfully builds a relationship and establishes trust, even through the use of a webcam, the results would point towards a highly engaged team. So I think that that's just one of the benefits, but definitely there are so many more benefits that any other company would be getting by cultivating a healthy online work environment.
I totally agree with you. Engagement really does bring in, if I were a selfish company, it really does attract talent, it retains talent, when people are energized to come to work. And also, let's also admit it that we want employees to be healthy, right? They're less absent if they're healthy. If you're looking at your bottom line, there should be a reduction in your healthcare premiums. You should probably have less critical cases because people are generally healthier. And just those are advantages to the company because you've shared the advantages to the employees. There are also advantages to the company. I just wanted to share that.
Just
All
to add
right.
up, if I might
Yes,
follow, I do
sure.
agree with Susan, and because in the end, it is both for the employee and for the company. Engagement is something that drives results, and for us in CCBPI, it was interesting to walk that path because back in 2020, we were not prepared. In all honesty, we learned as we moved and we started connecting, and sometimes meetings got off hand. But I think we've come a long way, and we've learned together with our employees how to keep connected and how to keep motivating them, understanding the requirements, understanding the reality and the challenges that we're facing. And the challenges are different because, at least for us, we still have the majority of our employees reporting to our plants, to our distribution centers. But yes, we have a lot of people also working from home. And understanding that balance and tackling the needs of each group has gotten to be something very relevant for us. And happy to share that keeping engagement in mind, these total well-being initiatives have allowed us to have a 92% engagement score. So most definitely the benefit is both for the company and the employees in engagement and motivation.
All
Hi,
right.
Joe.
Yes, ma'am. You want something to
Yeah.
add?
Yeah, okay. Hi. I hope my connection is better now, but certainly
Yes, it's
happy to
better.
share. Great, great. Thank you, Joe. So happy to share that in Mondelez, Philippines, we're able to prioritize our people because, in 2020, it really changed everything. Nobody was actually anticipating the pandemic, and the ways of working that we have, be it standardized work and process, we have to go to the baseline and understand the basic. So what really prompted us together is to lead by heart and by head, because you cannot get the head and the hand of the people if you don't really take care of them. So the best part of that is we provided that care and support to our employees. As a matter of fact, until now, the non-frontliners that we have still works from home. And last year we've had employee engagement survey. We're happy to share that the care element, the inclusiveness, as well as the support improved dramatically. And in the last 5 years, we would say that engagement score that we have for our employees improved by 23 pp. This is a testimony that the support that we've given to them, like additional leave, like pandemic leave, we gave them 14 days pandemic leave with pay, as well as the teleconsult online we gave them. There's like a consultation for your health, as well as the provision with regard to access and flexibility. It paved the way really to help them to be to be mindful about the total well-being and being part of the organization in the best way that they can. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So leading by head and heart. That's really wonderful. So let's proceed to our next question. So anyone in the panel can answer this. So how can companies build a positive workplace culture in an online or virtual setting?
I would like to share that the way that companies can build it is definitely through respect and finding that balance, understanding that people have their own needs, that we cannot accept that just because we are living in an online world, people need to be available 24/7. So I think those basics of respect and the way that we conduct our sessions and our meetings, trying to go straight to the point and trying to really make the best of the time that we have is what creates this commitment and this understanding with our employees as well. But to me, it's all about respect.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Oscar. Actually, as people look up to their leaders, it's also good to me, and I'm sure all of the our listeners have done this, to really start with training your managers, because the team usually take their cues from their leaders, and if the managers themselves, as Oscar mentioned, do not respect the time of their employees, and that's going to be a big issue. Not just respecting time, just like, for example, building culture, the culture of it's okay not to be okay, meaning, you can everybody knows that the pandemic has sort of set people back sometimes, they're depressed and things like that, just to have that culture among managers to be able to be that listening arm for their employees as well.
I like what Oscar and Susan mentioned. Certainly for Mondelez, we're happy to share that we believe in stronger together. So the first part of that is total transparency and honesty. So authenticity is all about being clear about where are you heading to, what is the current situation. It all boils down to looking after your people as you lead them. And apart from that, too, is establishing that genuine relationship with them about are they okay or if they're not okay. But the bottom line really is to provide that kind of flexibility about, what is the acceptable working time for them. And that's why we established actually the flexibility. Before you would say that your workplace and home place is totally different, but then now everything is done virtually, so you have to define that kind of differentiation about how do you take care of your family and then how do you support your work as well. But essentially making sure that you enable your people to be at their best by providing them the tools as well as the access to a remote setup. That's number one. Number two is creating also that open line and communication via, we call it talakayan. It's like your regular forum and check in with the people manager. And lastly is, be it good news or bad news, they have to make sure that they have the psychological safety to share actually their feelings and thinking about the situation. And that will pave the way to make sure that it's an interdependent and supporting system.
All
Yeah,
right,
and to
thank you,
add to
ma'am.
that,
Sure.
yes, just wanted to share that being online, it easily exposes us to different sources that can greatly affect our mindset. So it's also up to us to find ways how we can balance it out without overdoing it, or like what people call toxic positivity. And also, it's important for companies to go back to their teams or to their team members and ask, you know ask how they're doing, ask what's important for them. And I've heard through the other organizations and the speakers as well in this panel, we all have our form of pulse check survey or an engagement survey. And like in TELUS International Philippines, we also have our pulse check survey where we were able to identify what Susan also mentioned earlier on her presentation. There's 4 areas where our team members are looking for assistance on. It's like asking for help. Their main concerns were about physical health, financial stability, social and emotional support, and mental wellness. So, knowing these things and what our team members are saying, of course, we had to enhance our approach and develop a 360-degree wellness strategy anchored on the needs and what our team members are actually saying.
Actually, if I may just add one thing, just
Sure, Miss Susan.
it's a tidbit about what our company did. In our Microsoft Outlook, if you are going to set a meeting, let's say you want a 1 hour meeting, for example, 10 to 11, it'll automatically go 10 to 10:50, or 11 to 11:50, or there's always a 10-minute break between the meetings, just to be able to get the employees to relax and take a break between meetings. So that's the automatic output of the Outlook in the office. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So the keywords to remember are respect, authenticity, finding your balance, and of course, it's okay not to be okay. Okay, so let's move forward to the next question. Let's talk about a very important matter, a word. It's trust. So how can trust be built between employers and employees in a remote working environment? So anyone in the panel can answer. Building trust.
Yeah, hi Joe.
I
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All
Go
right.
ahead. Go ahead.
Was it Susan?
Yeah, you go ahead now.
All right, thank you. So thank you so much. So well, trust is actually a very big word. And definitely for employer and employee, it's something that you can build together. And the way we're working now, we're doing everything remotely. I would like to share this equation that we are using in Mondelez. We call it trust equation. So trust is actually supported by several elements to establish with your people manager. And as you go through it, your people manager or your line manager is basically the lens that you have with your company. And the best way to put forward and to establish trust is basically to communicate and to connect with them regularly and consistently as well as honestly. I would like to give this formula for a trust actually to be built. It is important that you establish C plus R plus I divided by SI. So what does it mean? Firstly, is you need to have that kind of sense of credibility. As you build trust, it's a two-way street. You need to make sure that you're credible enough to talk about your topic, your job, or the things that you do. So that's very, very essential part of it. And the second part of that would be the R, that's reliabilities. If you say, I'll be online based on the flexibility arrangement that you have from your working situation, you'll be available by that time. And at the same time as well, with regard to coming up with report, given that everything is being done remotely, then you have to be reliable as well with regard to meeting and being committed also to that deadline. The eye that I have is about intimacy. So it's not all about work. It's bringing a piece of yourself at work to make sure that you can connect and make magic and break through with your team. So that's intimacy, knowing how they're feeling, how they're thinking, and what would be a special celebration that you can do together, divided by self-interest. I guess it's actually a process to build and to harness into so that you can have a more supportive and a more, I would say, empowering organization that you can be part of. So that's something that we are doing constantly through check-in. We call it check-in. We try to make sure that we connect with our people regularly to be sure that we try to harness and build trust together.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila. Yes, Miss Susan, you were saying something earlier.
No, no, I was not. Actually, I would
Okay.
really prefer these HR professionals, like, for example, Oscar, as well as Mireille, they deal with this on a daily basis. So I would like to yield the floor to them on this one.
Yeah, so Sheila, those are all great points, and thank you for sharing what you're doing for at Mondelez. And I think one of the things that's very obvious to everyone, it's really open communication and setting clear parameters that create a more trusting work environment during this time. No, but what's more important and more important is that we ensure that we get back to our team members with feedback or updates, because either through their huddles, like team huddles, one-on-ones, email blasts with the theme of you said this, so we did this, so those are very important because sometimes we always ask for feedback, or we always ask our team members, okay, what's going on, how are you doing, and is everything okay, and so on and so forth. But then if we don't go back to them and tell them that we're actually doing something about the concerns that you have raised, and here are the things that we have for you to help you become more successful, to help you with your mental health, or to help you feel that we are in this together, then all these things that we have put in place, or that we're putting in place, will really not come into any fruition because they don't know what you're doing, right? Our team members will not know what we're doing. So it's very important we continue to have that open communication, and that we get back to our team members with the feedback.
All right. How about you, Sir Oscar? Would you like to add something?
Yes, thanks, Joe. And definitely, I agree with Shayla and Mireille. With Shayla, because it is a two-way street. Definitely, trust cannot be built one-sided. So you need to work together to build that trust and develop. And like Mireille said, it might seem basic, but communication is a secret. If we do not have those interactions, then trust will never be built. We have more challenges nowadays because before you could see the reaction of your boss, you could see the reaction of your colleagues, you could have coffee time discussions or informal sessions, and you could get this feedback in a different way. But nowadays, you need to definitely push for it, and you need to find these ways to communicate to ensure that the feedback is being given, because it's not anymore about being on a site or committing to a certain schedule, but it rather changed deliverables. So as long as deliverables are being met, then that trust will continue to get stronger and stronger. But that cannot be achieved without communication, continuous feedback, and even if we're in a virtual world, we need to find those opportunities to connect and communicate.
All right. So to build trust, we need open communication, and of course, we need to give feedback to our team members. All right. Let's proceed to the next question. So let's talk about the struggles we are all facing now. So as both employers and employees face challenges in working remotely, how can they adapt new ways to get the work done in this now normal? So anybody can answer. So how can we get the work done even if it's hard?
So I think
Yeah.
it's also finding new ways every day, right? Because everything has changed so much, and you have all these opportunities to learn, but it continues to change. It continues to change because what we need to deliver is a little bit different than we needed to deliver back in 2019 or in 2020 before the pandemic started. So both the companies and the employees are adapting to these new things. In the beginning, it was funny to see your toddler or your pets moving around in the background. But I think that people in general have mastered that. And yes, we are used now to hearing some background noises, and that's normal. But as employees, we also find better ways to deliver. And in the beginning, we could have been exposed to this meeting exhaustion or not being able to dedicate time to what matters most. But I think that all employees have also adapted, and they have learned to dedicate their time to those things that really matter most, that move the needle, that can allow them to give deliverables. And likewise, companies have developed these ways to support their associates in a better way. Also, I saw the slide from Mondelez that they have some days meeting free. Same thing for CCBPI. We have some days designated as meeting free so people can dedicate on creating, working, and developing new ideas towards delivering their goals. So I think it's a work in progress. Both associates and employers are working on understanding what are the best ways to move ahead and to transform. So it's a learning continuum.
I
Thank you
like
Yeah,
so
I
what
much.
think I can just wanna just add on Oscar's point. We started talking about trust that if you are flexible with your employees, they're not going to betray your trust. So we have people in the team, for example, who have little kids, and you can't help it. The kids just constantly talk to their parents, especially if they're like toddlers. And so what some of them do is they really do peak. They peak at night when the kids are already sleeping, so they work until midnight at times, simply because that is the only they would prefer to spend the awake time with their kids. And as long as you're very clear about what the deliverables are and you trust that they will do so, then your employees are actually going to be much more energized because they have that trust and they understand that their employer is flexible and will allow them to work at the time where it's more convenient for them given the pandemic.
just to add as well, I would say in the now normal, it would be helpful really if you try to establish your contracting. It means to say that because it's actually a different workplace and home place all at the same time. So in the now normal, it would be very important that you get to have that kind of transparency and clarity about what goods look like, right? So you have a picture of success about this remote working. It all boils down about contracting. What will be the time that you'll be available online? So if you're gonna say that flexible time or flexibility, just like for us, is that there can be a call between 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. So that will be the flexibility. Now, if you talk about making your lunch sacred as you manage your time with your family to spend your meals together, then you have to block it off for yourself and then align it with your line manager to be sure that you're basically clear on the expectation. So that's contracting. Number two, I can really harness on the fact that, given that we have the new normal or the new ways of working that we can say is that it's important as well that we give our people to have that kind of sense of heart and clarity about putting work together because actually this pandemic has created a little bit of nuances about well-being, and we really focus on the meatless Friday. It's not non-veget it's not about being vegetarian on Friday, but what we do is that you can have a meeting in Friday morning, and then afternoon you can take a look at working at your specific project, or perhaps look into personal development and connect with other people just to be sure that you are supported and you have an ecosystem to make sure that you are definitely supported by the rest of the team.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Miss Marie, we were saying something earlier. Would you like to add something more?
Yeah, similar to other companies that are staying operational, TELUS International Philippines also applied the hybrid or blended work setup, where some of our team members are working on site or also working from home. And as Oscar mentioned earlier, there are some during the start of the pandemic, and even to this day, there are some situations where you can't really help but have some of your personal lives get involved in work, because for our company, sometimes we used to actually laugh when we would hear recordings with roosters crowing in the background because most of our work is at night. So, and then early in the morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the roosters would be crowing. And our clients and our team members have been actually very patient with the situation. We've got clients who were patient who've been patient over the last 14 months, since the pandemic started. But if we never moved or we never changed anything, if we were not flexible or agile in the things that we have done, then then we'd be in big trouble, right? So it's very important that as we work remotely and as that is now the new normal or the now normal, we need to ensure that we are very adaptable, we're flexible, we're agile, and we're always looking towards the future, because now maybe the work, the breakdown of team members working on site versus the team members working from home, eventually, as there will be changes in how the environment is, eventually team members would start coming back into the office. Will that be 100%? Maybe not. Maybe we would still have team members working from home. So we have to make sure that we continue on providing the right support that is required for team members, whether they work from home or they work on site.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. I agree with everything you said. So I think this new normal really exposed us to our human side, to what we really are, to who we really are. So thank you for answering all my questions. Let's get questions naman from our audience. So the first question is, have you seen changes in benefits trends with the now normal for remote workers to ensure not only company competitiveness but also employee engagement, financial and psychological well-being? So anybody can answer.
Yeah, I can take that, Joe. Yeah, happy to
Sure, Miss
share
Sheila.
that when we talk about employee benefits, it is really being focused now on what's relevant, what's relatable, and what's meaningful and impactful to our employees. Just want to share with you, we have frontliners who are working, um, you know, definitely manufacturing our products and selling our products. We have to make sure that firstly, they have the right PPE, personal protective equipment, to make sure that whenever they interface with our customer, they are fully protected. So before, yes, we have that, but now we are more apparent and more deliberate in providing that, just to make sure that they are equipped to do the day-to-day job. And similarly, we also provided kind of healthcare care support. So we have the wellness allowance that we've done before, but we are now more explicit by making sure that we provide vitamins, board and lodging to our employees doing the manufacturing role. And similarly, we also provided shuttle just to make sure also that they are not exposed to any transmission, just to be sure that we equip them and we protect and support them to veer away from any transmission. Um, as you know, the best way to solve this crisis or pandemic is to provide that vaccine. Our country director, Ashish Pisharodi, as well as the leadership team, committed to make sure that we provided vaccines and access to our employees, plus their two beneficiary, so that they are protected for this pandemic. So I guess those are the things that we're doing. And similarly, with all the support as well, apart from the generous vacation leave and the sick leave that we had, we also provided 14 days of pandemic leave for employees who will be impacted by the COVID-19.
Okay, if I could just add, you're talking
Sure.
about benefits in the new normal. Actually, prior to the pandemic, organizations were talking about the future of work, not knowing that the future of work would just come rushing in when the pandemic came in. So, as organizations create their roadmap to like a modernized benefit strategy, taking in employee feedback, learnings from this pandemic, they actually need to seek to reorient their current benefit plans to bring in areas of flexibility, personalization, cost effectiveness, and simplification. There are a lot of steps to get there, but just make sure that we have those four things in.
Can
All
I add
right.
as
So,
well,
okay,
Joe?
sure, sir.
I think that in CCBPI, it's similar to what Sheila was mentioning because um, the efforts right now are more geared towards tending the necessities of our employees. So we have shuttles as well. We did the PPE. We are providing all coverage for COVID related cases. We also signed an agreement to bring vaccines to our associates. So that's where the funds are going. And we're also very proud to say that in CCBPI, no one has lost their job due to the pandemic. That has remained our commitment since the beginning. But likewise, if we see a trend in different benefits, probably it will come after. Right now, our main priority is still protecting jobs, is still getting the vaccine as soon as we can to the arms of our employees. And but for sure, since things have changed, I am foreseeing some adjustments in benefits probably in 2022 or a little bit later on. But right now, the priority in terms of benefits is providing what people need at the time.
Thank you, Sir Oscar. So, for our final question from the audience, do you think remote working will stay even after the pandemic?
It will definitely be mixed. So there are companies who started off saying that, oh, this is going to be our permanent way of doing work. And then if you read articles that are coming out lately, some are saying, no, we're going to go back, return to office. But basically, the overriding theme is that there will definitely be some jobs that can definitely go on from home in all the time. And there are those who would be coming into work and I mean going to the office and staying at home on a part-time basis. And so it will really be a mix. But one thing that employers have learned is that working from home really works for certain jobs, but not for all.
I like what Susan mentioned that since certainly and sincerely is going to evolve your remote working. Actually, for Mondelez, we're happy to share that we're able to start, remote working as early as 2017. So our employees were prepared to do that and primed actually to make sure that we build the trust and confidence about working remotely. But where we are now is that we are basically refining and drafting our remote working version 2.0 to make sure that we continue to empower and enable people to work anywhere. And I agree with Susan as well that eventually it's going to be a decision in partnership with our employees to make sure that we equip them and make sure that they're capable to work in the now normal, because we're not really certain about what's going on. But we're now operating in the VUCA world. Is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. But at the end of the day, if the organization is believing in converting that into providing V instead of volatile, it's going to be vision. U for understanding, C is more of communication, and A is more of providing that kind of assistance that would be a better world for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sheila. So, okay. Thank you very much for answering all the questions. Let's now proceed to giving the speakers closing statements. So, your key takeaways from this session, your final messages to our audience. So, let's start first with Miss Sheila, to be followed by Miss Murray, Sir Oscar, then Miss Susan.
Okay. Great afternoon, everyone. And really, for Mondelez, we're happy to share that we continue to stay truthful to our commitment in providing that support to our consumers, Filipino consumers. And thank you really for patronizing our product. And we are here actually to continuously heed to the call of the government to make one of these products available that you can enjoy with your family. And where we are now, we are committed as one organization to provide a safe and healthy workplace, at the same time enable our people to be the best that they can in whatever we can as well to support them. Total well-being, as well as provide that kind of right you, right mind, right body, and right purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sheila. Miss Murray?
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Joe, and for Business World for inviting us. Now, my key takeaways during this last hour is that it is essential to always be mindful of the culture you want to create and cultivate. Now, providing the support channels where your team members can connect, develop, and maintain strong relationships with people around them who will support and enrich their lives by participating in social activities, special interest groups, and giving back to the community where they work and live in. At TELUS International Philippines, we do all of these. And I'm sure there are great companies out there that do the same thing. Now, we need to be that strong support system that would help our team members cope with the current and future situations ahead of us.
Thank you, Miss Murray. Let's go to Sir Oscar.
Thanks, Joe. To me, the key takeaway is that we need to maintain a healthy workplace, not only online, but also physically. And it was really interesting to hear from my colleagues that we're on the same boat together and we're facing the same challenges. We're trying to support in the same way or in a similar way to bring health back to the workplace, to ensure that even in those frontline positions, we are following all protocols and we're keeping our people safe. So I think that's the commitment as well from CCBPI. We say in CCBPI that we believe that the best is yet to come. And we thank our associates constantly for all the support, all the effort that they put in place to keep our business, not only for every fellow employee, but for our communities and for our customers as well. So we will continue with that commitment. We will continue to grow in CCBPI, and we will continue to cooperate and collaborate with government, communities, and everyone else in the Philippines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Oscar. How about you, Miss Susan?
Yes, in closing, please allow me to share as well the steps we at Willis Towers Watson suggest you undertake in reviewing your well-being plans in whatever stage you are in your well-being journey. We suggest that you take a step back and make sure that you understand your goal or what your North Star is as far as well-being is concerned. And at this point, you may even want to compare yourself with your peers and determine where you prefer to be in comparison with them. So once that goal is clear, you can then start creating your roadmap. Usually it's a 3-year roadmap, looking into things like your program design, financing, employee engagement, administration, data analytics. But before starting the journey, please make sure you determine your measures of success. And in so doing, you need to measure where you are at the moment. And there's a lot of work involved in this process. So you then start your journey, and please don't forget to measure where you are regularly, usually annually, so that whatever you spend with your with your well-being budget is maximized. So thank you very much, everyone, for the time.
Thank you, Miss Susan. And with that, thank you very much again to Miss Susan La Chica, Mr. Oscar Medina, Miss Mireya Magalona, and Miss Sheila Pangilinan for sharing with us your time and expertise today. I'm sure our audience learned a lot from our discussion. So many thanks to Globe, TELUS International Philippines, and Coca-Cola Beverages Philippines Inc. for making this series possible, and to our Partners Management Association of the Philippines, British Chamber of Commerce Philippines, and the Philippine STAR. And of course, thank you to our audience for joining us this morning. We hope to see you all again tomorrow at 11 a.m. in Business World One-on-One with Asian Development Bank Chief Economist Yasuyuki Sawada and Business World Editor-in-Chief Wilfredo G. Reyes. Also, we're happy to announce the registration for the Business World Virtual Economic Forum Special Edition with the theme The Digital Economy PH Towards a Faster Economic Recovery will open this Friday. So grab your chance to avail of our early bird rates and head on to www.bworldonline.com/BWVEF Digital PH to learn more about this awaited event in the business scene. So be sure to follow Business World for updates on our next noteworthy projects. Again, this is Jo Luna Manuel of Business World. Stay healthy, informed, and inspired. Good afternoon and take care, everyone.
Sa pagpatak ng ulan, sa pagsubok na dumaraan, may tapang kang harap, lilipad kang may pangarap. Lilipad kang may pangarap.
Kailan may di mag-iisa, susulong ka ng may kasama, may tapang kang harap.
Lilipad kang may pangarap. Lilipad kang may pangarap. Simula na ng bukas. Ngayon na, ngayon na. Simula na ng bukas. Ngayon na, ngayon na. Simula na ng bukas. Ngayon na, ngayon na, ngayon na.
Sumabay sa pagbabago,
Harapin ang bagong mundo. Simula na ng bukas. Simula na ng bukas ngayon.